I'm not sure what extensors you're referring to. I suppose my assumption is that you're talking about the extensor compartment of the forearm, which would be lateral epicondylitis or lateral epicondylalgia or tennis elbow. That's what people often refer to it as. So your wrist extensors are responsible for this type of movement. Those muscles shorten there in the posterior aspect of the forearm, and they attach there to the lateral epicondyle of the humerus. Okay, so if you have pain in this area, sometimes it can be related to the function or overload of those muscles. In tennis in particular, the reason it's referred to as tennis elbow, when you serve, you hit the ball, and your wrist follows through like that, so the weight of the racket basically and the force that you've produced carries your wrist forward. That stretches all those muscles and it pulls on the insertion there at the lateral epicondyle. So that's one of the reasons why it's referred to in this case as tennis elbow. It can be a tedious injury to deal with. I do have actually multiple clients who have either issues with the medial or lateral epicondyles. And some of the things that we do most frequently would be modifying exercise selection and overall volume for upper body. So for example, I'll get people to use straps for gripping, because although wrist extension is what those muscles do, there's also co-contraction of the flexors and extensors anytime you're gripping something. So often gripping will be an aggravating factor for tennis elbow. From there, I'll look at the person's overall volume of, gripping work, for example. So if they're doing a lot of deadlifts, a lot of rows, a lot of pull downs, etc., I'll reduce the volume there. We might bias it towards push work more so in the short term. And we can also introduce exercises such as isolated strengthening, and sometimes stretching can help with symptoms, but very often we're doing, light, kind of slow, full range of motion work for the wrist extensors. That's something that often features, and that can help, but it doesn't always help, unfortunately. And very often you are looking at kind of longer term management of these types of things, whether it's the training that you do or your occupation, for example. Some people, if they're working, in a manual job that involves you, doing physical work with your arms, for example, if you're working in construction and you're exposed to a lot of vibration, those types of things, or you're holding a wrench, what I'll often get people to do is try, where possible, to do tasks with the other hand. That's not always possible, but it is something that we look to modify if we can.